What's up, everybody? This is Tanner from TanmanBaseballFan.com. I've been kind of procrastinating about doing this. I've been wanting to do a video on YouTube for my complete vintage collection. I wrote an article on it already at TanmanBaseballFan.com, a couple articles down. I also did some other things as well, like pictures and that sort of thing. But let's go ahead and just do a video. So I'm going to just dive into it. It's not a very big collection, but what I have, I really like. So I am excited to show you all this. So first of all, we're going to start off with a set that really kind of is pretty fantastic in terms of hobby history. It is the 1888 Allen and Ginter N28 baseball card set. Just amazing cards. Let me actually fan these out here so you can see them all. Okay, so here they are together. It's a 10-card set. The fronts are just like pack fresh. It's what they look like from, 140 years ago or whatever it is. The backs have some damage because they were glued in place, just like Allen and Ginter told the kids to do back then. And interestingly enough, I actually have an original album that they were told to glue them in place. There's actual pictures of these cards in the pages in this. You see the original rope that was used, and just the lithography is just beautiful on all of these. So I have this displayed with the set. Massive names: Timothy Keefe, King Kelly, Charles Kaminsky, Captain Jack Glasscock, John Montgomery Ward, Charles Bennett, Joseph Mulvey, he's probably the least known there. Cap Anson, it's probably the most famous 19th century card. John Clarkson, and Carruthers. So a great set. I actually sold in a lot and I bought back because I missed it so much. It's just such a beautiful set. It's an iconic set. It's the first probably full color nationally distributed baseball card set, to my knowledge anyways. So there's a lot of history behind this. This is a key set for our hobby's history, and it's gorgeous. It's so beautiful, in fact, that Topps resurrected this in 2006, and every single year they do a similar design to this, and it sells like hotcakes. So Allen Ginter did a fantastic job, and this is 19th century. So that's my first set there. The second set is the 1888 N162 Goodwin Champions Baseball complete set. Huge names in here, and the artwork is phenomenal. Again, just amazing lithography. I start off with Cap Anson, gorgeous card. Just the coloring, the focus, everything is so amazing on this. There's no bends or anything on any of these either, which is great. So there's Dan Bruthers. Great card. Great player. King Kelly again. Beautiful. It's an iconic card. That might rival the Allen Ginter. Cap Anson is the most famous 19th century card. So Dunlop, it's Fred Shershot Dunlap, I think his name is. Timothy Keefe, Captain Jack Glasscock. I think that's probably one of the most beautiful 19th century cards ever. I love that looks like he's playing on the beach or like a park or something like that, and he's got his hands without a glove on or anything, just true to the 19th century. So Carruthers again, and last but not least, Andrews. So great set altogether. I'm in love with this set, guys. Like it's beautiful. It's just an incredible set. Very like Allen Ginter's. It's doable to put together, but it is much more difficult to put this set together than the Allen Ginter set. So that's set number 2. I'm going to have to dig to show you set number 3. This is the 1889 Goodwin Champions E35 Baseball Round album. As I've shown before, I've done this entire artwork around here. The round piece itself is the actual round album piece. So let me show you the rest of the set here. We're going to go into my closet here. I won't go through all of them, but you can see Cap Anson. Look at the heft of this. It's a very thick piece. You can see the back, the custom work I did there. And, oh, by the way, here's what a round album piece looks like by itself. Beautiful lithography. Just amazing. It's typical that you have like this kind of rip there and everything on the hole that was that they're held together by. But I got an upgrade, so that's why I have this one out myself. So you could also see like this here, another different type of back. See, there's Buck Ewing and Timothy Keefe, Mickey Welch, John Ward, I think. And I think I am just going to go through all of them. Or maybe not, I don't know. We'll see. There's just some amazing pieces here. This is like commemorating the world champion 1888 Giants. I think these are all like blanks here. Okay, here's some others. My favorite, this is probably my favorite quad right here because it's Roger Connor right there. He's the first home run king. And I love these singles. That's probably my favorite looking one of the sets, John Monty Ward. And then we have Charles Kaminsky. Just an incredible, I mean, they're so beautiful, guys. Like, these are vastly underrated, mainly because a lot of people just don't know they exist. Extremely, extremely hard to come by. Very difficult. This is one of the covers, I think it is. You can see the back, different back that I did there for that. Another one of the back covers. That's the original artwork that I got it from the backs. And last but not least, this was another one of the covers, an original dog's head. Really, really, really neat set. Okay, moving on to my old Judge cards. This is a King Kelly. It is my favorite portrait. He's got 3 portraits in the old Judge set. This is my favorite by far. Looks like he just came off of a Wild West Wanted sign. I mean, just incredible. It's my favorite portrait, not just of him, but of anyone in the set, really. Great condition, great coloring, great contrast, amazing card. Even greater contrast is this, Billy Sunday. I love this card. This is the first card I ever got graded, actually. I bought this raw. Love the contrast, but even more, I love the player. So he ended up becoming an evangelist. And so he's one of the first great evangelists of America. And so this card has so many things going for it. So number one, it's Billy Sunday. That's why I have it. Number two, the backdrop. Look at the backdrop, guys. Like, just an amazing thing. Remember, old Judge cards were staged in studios, and these were pictures were taken in studio. And then once they had those pictures done, they actually would pin a little paper that says Old Judge Cigarettes and the name and everything on top of the photograph, and take a picture of the photograph. They would pose with a card with a ball with a string hanging from the ceiling. And you see Billy Sunday has his hands cupped, getting ready to catch the ball. I love, like, this is everything I love about Old Judge. And then this one, this is my latest. This is my favorite. This is quite possibly my favorite Old Judge card ever. The contrast is amazing. It's King Kelly. He's like my favorite 19th century player. It says $10,000 Kelly because he was like the first guy that got $10,000. I mean, this guy was like, the first person ever that people would seek autographs for. Is America's First Pop song was written about him. I mean, he just had so much going for him. And he died at like 36 or something. But anyways, the background though, the detail in the background just got me. I love this. This is like one of my favorite cards ever. So these are my 3 Old Judge cards. There are very few pieces here in my collection that get me as excited as I do with this. It's an 1899 Sporting News M101-1 Honus Wagner rookie. Obviously, it's not a card, but it is his rookie. I didn't know a 19th century Honus Wagner piece existed. And when I saw this, I thought, why is this thing not in a museum? It is the best condition one that I've ever seen in my life. And I've only seen like 6 or so in sales history. Most of them are cut out like around here, or a big chunk is out of them, or they're written on or something. So this is an amazing artifact. And by the way, I mean, the C206 Wagner is, the most popular, most famous card ever, because Wagner was the best player on the planet back then, by the way. And this piece predates the T206 by 10 years. And like he wasn't, it says John Wagner down here at the bottom. So, and he played for Louisville. And so, I mean, this is a piece I think, in my opinion, should be in a museum. So I don't feel really necessarily worthy to have it. I didn't even know it existed until last year, and just my jaw dropped when I learned about this, and so happy I have this piece. So continuing with the theme of larger format pieces, this is an 1909 to 1913 M101-2 Sporting News. It's Walter Johnson, Gabby Street. The condition is magnificent. It is beautiful, and it very well might be my favorite Walter Johnson piece. I fell in love with the photography that was used by the Sporting News, and so this particular piece was offered in 1910. So this is a 1910 piece. This was T206 era, but I mean, it's a photograph, and I love it. The sepia tone, the background kind of blurred out, and Gabby Street, by the way, is Walter Johnson's mentor, so it's perfect all the way around. So this is another M101-2. I actually want to talk about these because there was a near set was offered months ago, and I was a player on it, and gosh, I missed out. I was so bummed, but a reseller ended up getting them, and I was able to pick up the 3 I wanted most. And so this is one of the others. This is a super iconic piece, guys. Like, this is a 1910 issue as well. Ty Cobb, a young Ty Cobb, is shaking the hands of a grizzled veteran named Honus Wagner, and they are meeting at the World Series, 1909 World Series. And Honus Wagner had got the upper hand in that one. It is a beautiful piece. This is an iconic picture, by the way. And it's almost like a passing of the torch. It's like Wagner said, okay, I'm going to have one more shot at this. I'm going to whoop you up, you little youngster, and then you can, take the torch for being the best player in baseball history. So great piece. I love this piece so much as a display piece. And last but not least, in this M101-2 series is Shoeless Joe Jackson. This was offered in 1911, and this is probably, from an aesthetic perspective, probably the best piece that he has. It's so nice. It's large format again, and you can really get a feel for who he is, as opposed to the other cards that are out there of his. So just a great piece. Up next is this T206 Ty Cobb green background. It is in beautiful condition. The corners, the centering, the coloring, the contrast, the focus, everything is great. There is a few things. You see it's a 1.5. A few reasons why this isn't gray hider is because there's a little bit of a rip on the back. But look at this. It got the above average, the top 30% from PWCC. But it really is a magnificent piece, and the green just pops, and it's got so much going for it, guys. Like, I'm super happy to have gotten this when I did. I'm super happy to have gotten all the stuff when I did, because I didn't buy super low on all the stuff, but compared to the prices now, yeah, it's got a great deal. But I picked this up last March. I was actually looking for one for quite a while, and I got outbid by quite a bit on an altered that looks super nice for like $4,500 or something. And this one just blew it away, because it's got the numerical grade, and very happy I was able to pick up this instead. Now this is what I dub the Candy Wagner. It is a candy blue background. It's the 1910 E90-2 American Caramel Honus Wagner, and it's got the same portrait that was based off of the Carl Horner portrait that the T206 Wagner was based off of, and is great. It's one of those cards where, when I first learned of its existence a couple years ago, I was thinking, please don't be a 6-figure card. I would love to have this in my collection. And it took a while to get such a beautiful specimen in such a low grade, but look at this. There's one little bend here on the back, and there's a little tiny rip on the back. Other than that, look, the coloring, the focus, the centering, everything is just so magnificent on this card, and it looks fabulous. So this is a nice proxy card for people that may not have the extra cash under their cushions to pick up a C206 Wagner. So it's a beautiful card. I would highly recommend it. I was looking for one forever and finally was able to land one that was like very, very nice looking. Oh, one other thing about this also is like it's actually not that much less rare than the T206. So it just doesn't have the name recognition that the T206 does, or the story behind it. But it's a beautiful card. It's just, I love that blue. It pops. This is kind of like a childhood fantasy card, right? It's a 1915 Cracker Jack Ty Cobb. It's one of those cards where you see it on the magazine all over the place when you're a kid, and you're thinking, man, like a multimillionaire's got to, be the owner of this. So you see a little bit of staining. That's from the caramel from the Cracker Jack box it was in. So it really tells the story of where the card's been. But you take a look, just the color is rich. The staining is not obtrusive at all. I mean, it's got very light spots, and under a flash, it's even less than what looks like here on camera. But great, like no wrinkles I could see. I mean, it's a beautiful card. I actually had an altered that was much crisper and had sharp corners and all that. I actually ended up getting rid of that and kept this instead because I like the authenticity that the caramel staining shows. And it's a beautiful card. It's just one of those that, like I said, it's just one of the most iconic cards that you ever see, that you'll ever see around. So this card here is probably one of the 2 or 3 top cards that I am asked about most. Hey, are you selling this? Will you sell this? And the answer is always no. 1915 Cracker Jack Shoeless Joe Jackson. It's a 2, but even more amazing is the eye appeal on this. It is beautiful, and it's just incredible. There's like one little wrinkle that is barely recognizable in the upper right. And I think there was something I found under a microscope. There's a wrinkle somewhere in here, but you can't tell by the naked eye. So it is a beautifully presenting card. You see a lot of these are either altered or there's like, huge wrinkles or whatever all over. That's not the case with this. Like, in fact, when there's not a flash on this, I forget that there's a wrinkle on it at all. I mean, it looks fantastic. And it's one of those fantasy cards also. It's the best card in the Cracker Jack set, of course. And it graced so many covers and of magazines nowadays even, and just super happy to have this one. This is something I was very, very thankful to be able to add into my collection. This is quite possibly the most interesting Babe Ruth card I've ever laid my eyes on. It's the 1919 W514 Babe Ruth card. It's a stripped card, and it is a card that I have dubbed the Curse of the Bambino card. Let me tell you why. So first of all, we know that Babe Ruth ended up going to the Yankees at the end of the 1919 season. So I think he ended up being sold there like December 25th or December 30th or something like that. It's like at the very end. So, and it says Yankees. So this was not put out during the 1919 season when he was part of the Red Sox, right? But take a look at the sleeves. The sleeves are red. And that leads me to believe that perhaps they did the artwork when he was a member of the Red Sox. And when they produced the card and released it, he was a member of the Yankees. So this is actually a tangible piece of baseball history that marries quite possibly the most seismic shift in baseball history. When Ruth went from the Red Sox, who was like baseball's darling team, they won so many world champions before that, and went to the Yankees, where they had won nothing, absolutely nothing, until this guy came along. When he came along, it was all Yankees. They've got the most world championships now. And, as you know, the Red Sox didn't win another one until like 2003 or something. So this is a very, very intriguing and interesting card, very underrated. It's great, authentic, because I think it probably is not going to meet minimum size requirements because some kid at some point, probably back in 1920, took some scissors and cut a little too small or something on the side. But great card, beautiful coloring. It's got rudimentary artwork and low quality paper, and it tells such a wonderful story of its history from the World War I era, where materials might be scarce. And yeah, I just love this card. It says so much. I'm not really that big of a fan of strip cards either, but this one I just go nuts over. I actually sold this and I ended up buying it back. So thankful to have this card back because of the history behind it, the story. I remember telling my brother-in-law about this card and his jaw just dropped. He loved it so much. And that's kind of what I look for in cards. So it's a really, really cool card with an even cooler story. Okay, this is another strip card with another intriguing story. It's the same set, 1919 and 1921 W514, Shoeless Joe Jackson. This is graded SGC4, as you can see. And the fun part about this is I want to talk about this a little bit, just a little bit of a personal story. So I knew I was never going to get a Cracker Jack Shoeless Joe Jackson. That would have been crazy. Well, I guess I did. So I ended up reaching out for this one. Now, this one is super intriguing to me. Number one, 1919, the Black Sox scandal. This is the Black Sox card for Shoeless Joe Jackson. He's a member of the White Sox. It's got the year there of when the scandal happened and everything. And it's the Black Sox card. It's a piece of history again. And the W514 set, by the way, just crazy, all kinds of, crazy little stories behind these cards. There's a number of the Black Sox members in that set also, by the way. So anyways, great card. I found this on one of the forums because I saw somebody had this as their avatar. And I go, oh, that's the card. That's the Shoeless Joe Jackson I was looking for. So I reached out to him and said, hey, is there any way that you could sell this card to me? And he goes, oh man, this is my crown jewel of my collection. I couldn't do that. And I was like, I understand. I just figure I'd just kind of throw up a Hail Mary and ask and hope. And he goes, yeah, no, sorry. If anything changes, I'll let you know. Well, guess what? A few months later, things changed. And he said, hey, if you're still up for buying this, I will sell. I go, yes. I ended up buying it. Unbeknownst to me, I ended up buying this card on the 100th anniversary of the last game of the 1919 Black Sox World Series to the day, like 100 years later. What are the odds of that, right? It's crazy. So I ended up later buying the Cracker Jack Shoeless Joe Jacksons, thinking I don't need two Shoeless Joe Jacksons. And so I ended up selling this. And I felt like something wasn't right when I sold it afterwards. Saying, man, this has got too much of history, both personal and baseball, from a baseball perspective. Man, why did I sell this? So I opened up the text of the guy that I sold this to 3, 4, 5 times over the year. And I was like, no, I'm not going to reach out. Well, he ends up putting this for sale. And so I reached out to him immediately and we got a deal done within a half hour or so. So here it is. It is back in my collection again for the second time, and great baseball history, baseball card history, and personal history. Shoeless Joe Jackson. I felt like my vintage collection would not be complete without a Babe Ruth representation on such an iconic card as this. This is, it appears like it's the 1933 Gowdy. This is actually the 1933 Worldwide Gum card, which is the Canadian Gowdy. So everything looks the same. This is virtually identical to a Gowdy, but on the back, there's some French text, and it says Montreal instead of Boston or whatever. So it says printed in Canada there as well. My jaw dropped when I first saw this because I had a 33 Gowdy just like this. Like this, by the way, this is like, in my opinion, the most iconic card of the most popular player ever. So I think this is vastly underrated. I think this has a lot of room to move. I had a PSA 1 last year where there's like wrinkles that go down here like this. There's like some staple holes. And I didn't want something like that. I wanted something cleaner. I wanted like a home run or grand slam of a Babe Ruth card. And this popped up. And my first thought was like Worldwide Gum. No, I really kind of would rather a Gowdy. And then I started thinking about this. I was like, well, wait a second. No, like the way that we have our collection stand out from others is we do the weird things, right? The rare things. So I checked out the PSA Pop Report. The PSA Pop Report, I think, shows like 1,400 or so of these, the full body Ruth, for 33 Gowdy that's ever been graded. For Worldwide Gum, there's like 90. Like this is ridiculously scarce compared to the Gowdy, and it looks the same. So it's got that same iconic look. And also, by the way, the condition, this is grossly undergraded. It is, the centering is beautiful, no wrinkles, the corners are sharp and the colors are bright, and it is just, it's an amazing, amazing card. I'm super happy with this, and yeah, and plus I'm super happy now that this is the Worldwide Gum version, since it is way, 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 way rarer than the Gowdy version. And yeah, it fits perfectly in my collection, I think. Last but not least is the second, only behind the C206 Wagner, most famous popular card ever. It is the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. Now I want to talk about this card here. I had one that was altered last year, and by the way, my hands were shaking when I got that card. The corners were rounded, there's creasing all over the place, there's a big ink splotch there. I sold it. I didn't think I'd ever get another one of these again. And then I ran into somebody that had this card, and he was interested in my Mike Trout rookie. So I ended up putting some cash with that Mike Trout, and I ended up getting this in trade. And the eye appeal, so with as many people that ask for my Shoeless Joe Jackson Cracker Jack, that many, if not more, ask if I'm ever going to sell this card. It is a gorgeous card. There's a little bit of a light wrinkle there, almost just like the Shoeless Joe Jackson. It's just unrecognizable. It's one of those things where if I sit this on my stand, I forget about the wrinkle because it doesn't show up unless it's under flash and is positioned properly. So there's a little bit of paper loss there, which perfect place for paper loss, right? Like right on the border. So it's not obtrusive at all. And this thing shows much more nicely than the grade suggests. The back is pretty much perfect, and just a great, great card. And what's funny is I actually, when I got this, I was excited about it. I wrote an article about it. It's like, okay, I'm going to flip this. I'm going to sell this. And then like within a day or two, I go, nope, I'm going to keep this. I would not forgive myself if I sold this. So it's still here, and you guys, like, it's beautiful. I'm so happy I have it. And, you know, not to mention the fact that these things skyrocketed right after. I probably would have been kicking myself really hard if I sold it at that time. So anyways, there it is. That's my entire vintage collection. Thank you guys for watching, and hope you all have a great day.